My name is Mario Queiroz. I'm responsible for what we call product management in our international R&D centers. And it's a pleasure to be here, so I want to thank all of you for being here and for partnering with us to put together this event, and also thank you, of course, for the business that we do together with our clients. I am accompanied on the stage here by Alan Livingston, who is a product manager in our London office, and Alan and I are going to do a number of product demos, because we have on the agenda, the topic is the new consumer. And Mark talked a lot about different consumer trends. So what I wanted to do is really address the new consumer topic in a somewhat indirect way by talking about how we innovate on product design, so that hopefully you guys can take some of that away in terms of how you innovate on the products and the work that you do, as well as how you're able, hopefully, to communicate Google products to our clients and to partners more effectively. So, but instead of showing you a bunch of PowerPoint slides, what I'm going to do is there are some important principles of innovation that are pretty critical to how Google does its software engineering, how Google develops products. And our product managers and our software engineers are all computer science versed. And so there's a lot of innovation and technical insight that goes into our products that I'd like to share with you, again, by showing you some demos as opposed to really just showing you PowerPoints. So let me start. So we're going to talk about search, of course. It's always important for us to talk about search to give you some idea on what drives some of the products that we're developing. We're also going to talk about Maps and YouTube, Gmail, as well as I'm going to touch on Android and mobile, which you're going to see in more detail later on today. There will be a session dedicated to that. But let's start with search. So before we actually do a demo, I want to talk about some really important principles of search. 10 or 11 years ago, when Larry and Sergey founded the company, they indexed 25 million documents, and that was the search engine. And today, there are more than 1 trillion documents on the internet, and that's growing by billions of documents every day. But the internet is not only changing in terms of the number of websites. The internet is changing, as Mark alluded to before, with the granularity of the content. It used to be that it was all websites, and websites have a certain size. Now it's messages of 140 characters or less. It's videos, it's images, it's maps, and it's a lot of other things. So what we have to do is not only is the content on the internet growing very rapidly, but the type of content that's on the internet is also changing very quickly. And the granularity of that content and how quickly that content gets updated. It used to be that if you indexed the entire web every 2 days, 3 days, or every week, it was fine. But more and more, we need to be indexing the web every minute, every second. Larry Page, one of our founders, a couple weeks ago in London, he was speaking with the press, and he said that he's been telling our engineers that they need to be indexing the web every second. Because right now, with products like Twitter on the market, it's really important that Google sees all of the information that's out there. So given that the internet is changing in this fashion, part of the innovation that we have to work on is how our infrastructure keeps up with that. How can we make sure that our algorithms and our computers are powerful enough and our infrastructure is powerful enough to really go get all of that information and make all of that information available to every user on every search. And this takes a lot of very basic computer science, as well as a lot of very clever hardware design in order for us to have the right infrastructure. So that's a very important thing, just keeping pace with the internet. And we actually want to develop our infrastructure faster than how the internet is growing, because today search is still far from being perfect, and we believe that search has a long ways to go. So if we just keep up with the growth of the internet, we're not going to have the ability to keep up with it and then make search better. So we have to grow our infrastructure and our capabilities much faster than that. So this is a really important area that we invest in, and if you listen to the analyst comments, especially around earnings times, when the analysts talk about capital investments, a lot of the capital investment that Google makes goes into expanding our infrastructure. Now, in terms of search, for people really to understand search, I like to talk about two things. One is we have to make sure we have all of the content and we're able to present all of that content in the right order for the user. That's a very fundamental thing. That's the first thing that needs to happen. But secondly, then once we know which content we want to present to the user, we want to make sure that that experience when the user sees the content is a good experience. It's an experience that allows for the user to interact with the content. But both of those things have to happen effectively. Recently, there's been a lot of talk about new products and new approaches to search, which really have more to do with how the search results are presented as opposed to the core aspects of search, which are very critical. And we really like to talk about 4 things: relevance, freshness, speed, and comprehensiveness. So our engineers run literally thousands of experiments every year to improve in these 4 areas of search. And this is the type of thing which actually doesn't appear explicitly on the page. It just happens in the background, but if we don't do that kind of work, you're not going to have the best result. So that's one part. The second part, though, is how do we make the results more pleasing, and how do we do a better job of the user's experience when the user is looking at search? Well, one thing which we did is a couple years ago, a big bet that we made is something called universal search. You remember that Google used to essentially be, the search results page used to essentially be a series of web pages. And then we realized, oh, there's a lot of video on the internet. There are maps, there's news, there are books, there are a lot of other things. We actually should be blending in different forms of media into the result, because the user is not necessarily always looking for a web page. And so universal search led to the blending of other forms of media in the results page. That was something that we started about 3 years ago, and it's been very, very effective for people working on their desktop. But what's also been a very beneficial result for users and for Google as well is that if you can do universal search, or if you can rank the results from different media effectively, when you are presenting results on a mobile screen, which is much smaller, you're going to give the user the better results at the top, which makes that bet an even more effective one for Google to have taken. But let me touch then on this second aspect of search. The first aspect being some of the core things. The second aspect is really involving the user and enabling the user to interact much more with Google on the results page. So the products we're going to talk about today, of course, are all products that are public. But as Mark was saying before, a lot of these products, some of you may not have seen, and in general, users are not always familiar with all of them. So in our quest to interact with the user more with our search results, not just giving you the search results and saying, okay, click and go away, really giving you a chance to interact, to really get what you want. One of the things that we did about 9 months ago is launch something which on the surface may seem simple, but it's been very successful, which is called Search Wiki. So if we go to the home page quickly here. So Search Wiki, if you recall, as Alan goes to it, let me just show it, and so I won't describe it. So what we're going to do is we're going to search for something kind of mundane. Let's search for, let's say I'm looking for a dog grooming service. So we're going to look for dog grooming, and we're going to say cheap, because that's what we want. We don't want to spend a lot of money on a dog. Now, you see here that there are little icons that appear next to the search results on the left side of the page, which there's an up arrow, there's an X, and there's a little bubble next to some of them that allow you to make comments. What this gives you the opportunity to do is, let's say that we go to the 4th result here. No, we don't want that one. Let's see, cheap and cheerful dog grooming. Let's click on that and see what that takes us to. Looks like an interesting enough site, so we're going to go back. And let's say that every time we search for dog grooming cheap, we actually would like to see that result at the top. So what we do is we click on the up arrow, and that result goes to the top. So what that gives you the chance to do is, if you've ever entered the same query more than once, and we find that about 16% of our queries are repeat queries from users. So users sometimes are actually using Google as almost like as a bookmark service. And so if you want that very same result every time, like a friend of mine plays Scrabble and he likes the same Scrabble dictionary, he has moved his Scrabble dictionary to the top every time he searches for Scrabble dictionary. So that's something which allows for you to interact with the Google search results. Now let's say that there's a site here that you don't really like. So dog grooming Los Angeles Yelp. We don't even need to go in there. But basically, we're not going to be really interested because we're doing this in London, and our dog is not going to be in Los Angeles anytime soon. So we're going to click on the X here, and you'll see that that result is gone because you're not really going to be interested when you search for this query. If we go to the bottom of the page, let's say that you made a mistake here, you'll see at the bottom of the page here that we have the results which we got rid of. And you could actually restore that result if you made a mistake. So the point here is not that I'm trying to sell you a dog grooming service, but rather this is really about you being able to interact with your search results more and more. Again, it may seem like a trivial feature, but this is how we like to innovate. We launch a lot of small but well-tested features which we think some users are going to appreciate, and then over time, the summation of these is going to make a difference. Let's go over to a different query. Let's search for something which is in the news currently, Speaker of Commons. That's kind of a fun query. So we're going to search for Speaker of Commons, and Mark talked before about search options. So this is something, again, which we're trying to give the user more of a chance to interact with the results page, as opposed to saying, here it is, deal with it. And so if we click on search options, you'll see, again, on the left side, a number of things. And I think Mark showed you the Wonder Wheel. So we won't necessarily go to the Wonder Wheel. But let's say that, this is a very current topic. And let's say, first of all, that we would like to see the results from the past week. So a lot of times you're looking for, you run a query and you'd actually like to see the results maybe in chronological order. Now let's have a little bit more text in the results here. So if we go to more text, you'll see that we can expand what we call the snippets. A lot of times actually like to see the result of what I'm looking for in the snippet itself as opposed to having to go to a website. And this gives you the chance to do that. Now, let's go back to anytime, Alan, and let's just show the standard results. Okay? Now, let's say that we were looking for pages that have images related to Speaker of Commons. And so when we click on this item, you'll see that the websites or the results that have images in them are going to surface those images here. So you can actually, before you start going into a website and back and into another one and back or doing an image search, you can actually find out which sites are going to have images that you might be interested in looking at. So this is a way for you to be able to interact with Google and really refine your search in many ways before you finalize or you get to what you exactly want to do. Now, Mark mentioned that one of our goals is to get you off of Google as quickly as possible. And actually, our goal is to make sure that you get to exactly what you want as quickly as possible. It may seem counterintuitive to say, oh, well, let's have the user refine the search here before the user gets to a particular website. But we think that by offering these features, the user is actually going to get to his or her final result a lot faster than if we basically give them whatever the initial result is and let the user be clicking around different websites. So that's search options. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go, and since Mark showed you the Wonder Wheel, we're going to go ahead and skip that. And I'm going to talk about something which was in the press about 3 or 4 weeks ago, which is much more experimental than search options. So search options, you'll see, if you go to Google, you'll see search options on all of your results pages. It's something which is what we call in production, and every user will see it, and it's out there. Now, we also like to experiment with some features before they're fully ready for prime time, but we expose these features to users as quickly as we want. And when I said before that I'm going to talk about some principles of innovation, one of the principles of innovation at Google is that engineers are going to come up with ideas, and we give engineers the opportunity, as soon as we think the product is even close to being ready, we give the engineer the opportunity to put that product out there to users. And so we have an experimental part of the site which has experiments, And one of the experiments we're running right now is something called Google Squared. And Google Squared, what's behind Google Squared is the same thing that is behind your regular Google search, if you will, which is we need to make sure that all of the information that's on the internet is made available to the user, and that we can get to that information very quickly, that it's fresh and all those kinds of things. But if we go to Squared, so Alan, if you could go to Squared. Okay. Squared again is in labs. You can go and play with this if you would like. What you're able to do here is we're giving, sometimes you want to do searches in a little bit more of a structured way, as opposed to a number of websites and videos and so on. And let's say that you're doing some research on astronomy, because you're taking an astronomy class. So what we can do here is we can search for, let's say, moons of Jupiter. And Squared will use some of Google's extraction technology to create a table for you with the results. And all of the information here is information which is in our index. We're just pulling the information together in a different fashion. And we're also looking for correlations. Now, all we have from you is moons of Jupiter. But what we're looking at is we're saying, OK, what are different possible moons of Jupiter? And you actually might be looking for moons of Saturn, let's say. So we might actually throw in moons of one of the other large planets. And then we think, OK, what might the user be looking for when he or she is thinking moons of Jupiter? They might be looking, of course, for a description, for the mass, for the orbital period. So we look for the most relevant parameters of your query to present here. Now, you might say, well, I actually was interested in when some of these moons were discovered. So you can go over and you can actually add a column very quickly. And you'll see that there's if you click on that, Alan, you see that there's Google makes suggestions of what else you might be interested in if you're looking at moons of Jupiter. And let's say data discovery is something that we're interested in. And we go to the index and we very quickly see when some of these were discovered. If you hover with your mouse pointer over, you'll see which website that piece of information came from. Because again, what we're doing is we're tapping into the same information that we're tapping into when you do a Google search, but we're just presenting it in a different way, and we make visible to you what that information is. All with the intent, once again, of really allowing you to interact with Google and with the Google search results in a very different way. We run, again, thousands of experiments like this every year. Many of the experiments we run, you actually will see, because we run, for example, experiments with 0.2% of all of our traffic. And you might be on Google right when we're running a particular experiment, and you'll see something running, and if that's successful, maybe at some point we'll launch it. And if it's not successful, it'll go away. But the way we get to some of these results is, again, through a lot of experimentation and interaction with the user. So that's search, and the point here is that we have in the order of about 4,000 software engineers in the company who work and will continue to work on search, because search is at the core of what we do. Now, the company's mission is organizing the world's information and making it universally useful and accessible. So that sounds like great corporate speak and everything, but it's really how we run the company. One of the things that about 5-6 years ago we realized is that a lot of information is organized according to location, or has a location associated with it. And over the past few years, we've seen the evolution of what I like to call the geo-web, the geographic web, and where all of the information or a lot of the information which has a location associated with it is being organized in that fashion. So this started from a very simple concept, online maps, but it has evolved into some really interesting experiences that allow for us to present information that has a location associated with it to you. And this area of maps and Google Earth and Street View and everything is very interesting, because we know that people are going to want to see certain types of information. We just don't know in advance how all that's going to come together, but we start working on it anyway. So Street View is a great example of how we had this intuition that people are going to want to be on a map, and then they're probably going to want to see what the street looks like. Maybe you're going on holiday, or maybe you're looking for a store, but we didn't know exactly how these things were going to come together. But we started driving these funky-looking cars anyway and taking photographs of storefronts and of houses and everything and organizing them into a product called Street View. But it turns out that people are using Street View now for very practical types of things. And Street View is getting more and more integrated into Google Maps. And over time, you can see Street View getting integrated into Google Earth and all kinds of things. And so I want to show you one of these very simple examples, again, as an example of how we innovate, in that we knew we should do Street View. We didn't know how exactly it was going to come together. Of course, we had been working on maps, and we continue to enhance maps. This is all with the intention of organizing the world's information that has location associated with it. So if we go to Google Maps, Alan is going to help me show you something. Let's say that I'm visiting a friend this weekend this Sunday in Ealing. And my friend lives on Sunnyside Road. But it turns out that the last couple of times I went to visit my friend in Ealing, I got parking tickets. And at £50 a ticket, it's not something that I don't like my friend that much. So I want to make sure that I avoid having a parking ticket this time. So we're going to go look for see what the street looks like where I park, because I don't normally pay attention. So we go to the little Street View man, and we drop the little Street View man around the place where we're going to be parking. And so let's see, why don't we go down the street? And you see here that Google recently launched this little pancake in the middle of the street there. How annoying was it when you go to Street View and you're actually trying to go 3 blocks down, and you have to click on that arrow 18 times before you get to, all the way down to where you're trying to get. So we launched this pancake here, and you can actually put the pancake all the way down the street and then like double click on it, and Google, go ahead, Alan, let's do that. And Street View will take you down to where the pancake was, as opposed to having to hit on the arrow every time. Again, this is incremental innovation, but we saw that users were trying to do something which we weren't enabling them to do, and we offer this. Now, we also, let's take us back to where we were, because we're going to park closer down the street. We also, if we'll paint here, there we go. The network will cooperate. Let's go back to where we were. Great. And you also see this square here. The square actually allows you to, if Alan double clicks on it, on the square, it allows you to zoom in on something without actually going all the way there and then zooming in. But what we want to do is we want to see if we're going to get in trouble depending on where we park on my friend's street on Sunnyside Road. So there's a parking sign there, and we might be able to zoom in on that parking sign. There we go. There we go. And if we look there, we can actually see that Zone C permit holders only, but Monday through Friday and Saturday. So if I go there on Sunday, I hopefully should be okay. And so this is again maybe a little bit of a funny use of the product. But the point is, we put this Street View thing out there, and we have Google Maps, and then people started using them together, and then we started integrating them, and now there are some very practical uses of it. Just last week, there was somebody who came to visit me at our office, and they said, "Oh, can we go have lunch at that Chinese restaurant right around the corner?" And I couldn't remember the name of the Chinese restaurant, and so I said, "Well, I know what corner it is," and I went to that corner because I was lazy to walk downstairs and go see it. I went to the corner, and I saw the Chinese restaurant there on Street View. It actually had the telephone number, so I just dialed them up and made a reservation, which was quite a useful thing. So you'll continue to see a lot of innovation around maps and geolocation enabled information on Google Earth, Street View, and so forth. And it's an important area of innovation for Google. Now, another important area of innovation is YouTube. Now, with on YouTube, we've continued to innovate very fast, but really a lot of our innovation over the last, since Google acquired YouTube in October of 2006, and even before that, was around the YouTube community, primarily the viewer. But more recently, we've been doing a lot of work on making YouTube better for advertisers, and with better targeting tools, better ways to predict traffic on YouTube, more analytics for advertisers in terms of how their ads are performing, and so on. But we've also started to innovate for content partners, because YouTube doesn't exist without people actually creating great videos and putting those videos into YouTube. We started working on some things like there's something which we call Content ID. Content ID basically looks at all of the bits of a video, and both in terms of the images as well as the sounds, and it creates a key which is associated uniquely with that video. So if you own a, I'm going to show that I have a 9-year-old daughter at home. So if you own a Hannah Montana video, right, you're going to upload that video, and you want to make sure that it's known that you own that video as the studio that owns the rights for that. And so we make a digital key of that, and if somebody uploads something which is similar to that but a copied version of it, we're going to say, oh, you actually don't own this video, but we're going to go to the person who owns the Hannah Montana video and say, somebody just uploaded a copy of it. Do you want us to take it down? Or would you like us to monetize it, and whatever proceeds there are from that copy, you will benefit, and not the person who's uploading it. So we're doing things like this to make it easier and more effective for people to upload videos. Something else which we're doing that we're going to demo for you right now is something which we call YouTube Insights. And the idea here, there are already roughly 15 hours of video uploaded into YouTube every minute. So for the past 20 minutes we've been talking here, you can do the math and know how many videos were uploaded into YouTube around the world. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that those videos are really good, because the more videos are uploaded and the better the videos are, the more people are going to view them, and the more people are viewing them, the better the videos are, the better it is for advertisers, and you create this virtuous cycle. And so given that Google has the computer science that we build into our products allows us to get a lot of information about what's going on, a lot of data. And so we came up with this concept, which our engineering team in Zurich developed, called YouTube Insights. And basically, YouTube Insights, we're going to go over to YouTube right now. Let's say that in this case, we have an example here. Al Jazeera did a piece on, a news piece on the world's cheapest car when the Nano was launched in India. I think it was in January of this year. And so if you're Al Jazeera, wouldn't it be great if you could know what viewers, where are the viewers for this video, what are the demographics of the viewers for this video, when are they watching, what part of the video do they like and dislike, because with all that information, you're going to be able to do a much better job of targeting some of your news stories by location and know what part of your video worked and didn't work. And so this is what we give content owners the ability to do. Again, these are the kinds of tools that we can make available to partners, to advertisers, and many times to users, to give people the power to judge what's happening, whether it be for commercial reasons or just for fun reasons. In this case, it's for commercial reasons. Before, Mark talked about insights for search. The concept of insights for search is exactly that. We have a lot of that information. We want to make that information available to advertisers, and we want to give tools for advertisers to use that information to make their campaigns more effective. So let's continue. Let's go over to, we've got a couple more things I want to talk about. One is Gmail. Now, in some ways, webmail is sort of boring. It's been around for 13, 14, 15 years, and people say, so what? But what's happened with webmail, our approach to webmail through Gmail or Google Mail in the UK has been really to create this communications hub. You'll have seen that Gmail went from being just an email program to having your chats integrated on the left side. And more recently, we added live video so that you can have a video conference with someone. And so our goal is to develop this communications hub so that regardless of how you want to communicate, whether it be through email, through IM, through video, through speaking, you have all of your communication in one place. And so far, it's been pretty effective. Gmail is by far the fastest growing webmail platform, and now it's this communications platform of any platform that's out there. And we're going to continue to invest in Gmail to do things that people want to do. And we want to make Gmail, let's go to Gmail. We want to make Gmail fun. And so, you have the themes, which were launched not too long ago. This is the tea house theme. And this tea house theme, given that Google knows where your computer is, if it's sunny outside, you'll see that it's sunny on your theme. And if it rains outside, it'll show clouds and it'll show that it's raining. Because we know what the weather is. If you go to google.com and you search for weather London, you'll see what the weather is. We know what that is, so we can tailor your theme to the time of day or to the weather. So that's sort of a fun kind of a thing. And there's some other fun things and important things in labs. Mark talked about the beer goggles, or I guess that's what we call that. And so there's some embarrassment reducing features. What we give our engineers the opportunity to do, their engineers all the time will say, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I could launch this feature on Gmail, or wouldn't it be cool if I could launch that feature? And since Gmail is used by so many people, we created something called Gmail Labs. And in Gmail Labs, an engineer can say, okay, I want to put a feature out there and see how users are going to like it. And we have a big disclaimer at the top saying, this is just, how is it? Yeah, some crazy experimental stuff. So it may be that it sticks around for a long time, but it may be that we find that it's not very effective and we take it down. Now, some of the things that are in here are pretty serious things. So for example, if you like to use your Gmail when you're on an airplane and that airplane doesn't have Wi-Fi, then you might want to enable the offline capabilities where Google basically has an algorithm that guesses what messages you might be interested in looking at offline based on your usage pattern, and then you can have those messages available in the browser. It actually makes people get a little bit startled when they're sitting next to you on an airplane and they look over and you're going through, in the browser reading your email, and they're saying, well, is there an internet connection here? And you tell them, of course there is. Didn't you know how this works? But no, you actually don't do that. And so there are some other interesting features, and Mark showed the mail goggles there, and so we won't go through that. I'm sure that all of you will enable that one. See, that one is enabled on Alan's computer because he thinks that one's pretty important for him. But there's some other things too. So very recently, after much feedback, somebody said, well, I would like to undo send. It's another one of those things where you hit that send button, oh, I forgot this or that, and for the couple of seconds that the server is still sending your message, you can say undo send and it pulls the message back. Or things like a lot of you like to have the default set to reply to all instead of reply. And so an engineer went in here and said, instead of reply being the default, and then you have to put the little menu thing and say reply to all every time, he flipped that, and that just made things more convenient. So this is like a playground for engineers to go in, to put features in here. There is some level of quality that they have to pass, but it's a minimum level of quality because we want users to give feedback on this. Now, we'll see here that not too long ago, we launched something called Talk Video integrated with Gmail. And if we can just do a quick, just to refresh your memories, Alan, let's go to that video. Refresh your memory on what it is that we launched. One of our product managers in Sweden worked on this product with his engineers up there, and you may recall, you may have seen this video, or you may know what this feature already. Let's just take a quick peek.
Ah, there you are. Hi, I'm Serge, and I helped develop Gmail Voice and Video Chat from Sweden. Our team works closely with the team in the US, so video chat comes in really handy. Some things are just better communicated face-to-face, where you can see expressions, gestures, and I can point things out on a diagram. Plus, whenever I travel, I get to see my kids. So let me show you how this works. Gmail Voice and Video Chat is integrated right into Gmail, so it's very easy to use. To start a voice or video chat, simply click on the Video and More link at the bottom of the chat window. When a person receives a call, they'll hear a ring, and they'll see a notification that they can choose to answer. You can pop out the chat window and adjust the size and positioning as you like. You can even make it go full screen through a single click. It's free and easy to use. Visit gmail.com/videochat to get started.
Okay, so there are a number of other PC video conference products out there. But this is integrated into your communications hub, and also the quality of this video chat is much better because we did a lot of work on that technology. Now, normally, when we've done this, this presentation before, we actually called Serge, but Serge is on vacation. But maybe we can reach Serge here anyway. Here we go. Let's see if we can reach him. Oh, here we go. Oh, I think he is there. Let's see. Okay. Let's try it. Okay. I'm going to look over Alan's shoulder here. Oh, hi, Serge.
Hey, guys.
I thought you were on vacation.
Yeah, I kind of was.
Oh, there's somebody next to you thinking that you seem kind of weird there. Anyway, we actually just saw your very popular video, and we thought we would give you a call. But that it seems kind of fishy that you're holding up a photograph or something. Anyway, I was looking for my my mobile phone. I thought I had forgotten it in the office, but maybe you can see if it's there. Oh, whoa, what was it? Hey,
Yeah.
Andre.
Actually, we got busted.
Andre, you're busted. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm happy to help you. Please pick one, whatever you like here. I have lots of them.
All right, I'll take the either the Android or the iPhone there. Is there an iPhone there? I need an iPhone. Oh, we got somebody on the...
Well, how about this one? This one is good.
Okay, that's a very nice one. All right, great. Well, listen, Andre, thanks for helping us out, and we'll stop bugging you now, okay?
Sure.
All right, take care.
Good luck, guys.
All right, bye-bye. Anyway, we normally talk to Serge, but today we had a proxy. Okay, so that's so he had a lot of phones on that desk, and I want to show you guys to finish up the fact that the mission Google's mission involves making information accessible, and accessible means that what people are already doing now and have been doing for some time, but where we're going to see a lot more activity, which is on mobile devices. And so we're going to show you here on an Android phone. Android, the value proposition of Android from Google is Android is a free software platform which any phone manufacturer, any mobile operator can take, build into a phone, and it's a standard platform that allows for any developer to create applications for that platform. And our idea is if there's a standard platform and an application developer can create an application for lots of phones, then they'll create some great applications. People will come to those phones, and the more people that come to those phones, the more that developers want to create applications for those phones. Because today, with the different walled gardens, if you will, of different manufacturers and different mobile operators, if you are an entrepreneur, you want to write an application, to get your application out broadly, you have to write it 15 different times because of all the different phones and operators that are out there. Our hope with Android and making Android standard software, which is open source, and we're giving it to the world, is that we're going to make that ecosystem much more efficient. And so what we want to show you is an interesting little app which the guys at lastminute.com together with Zagat have put together. So why don't we go to it? And you see here Alan's Alan's Android phone, and I think what you'll probably want to do, yeah, let's just keep it that way. So he's going to show you an application called Near You, and when you go to Near You, there's this concept which people call augmented reality, where given that this device allows the application, the person who's writing this application gives information on where the phone is located precisely, as well as information on the information on which direction the phone is pointing. This very simple application that was written here shows where some of these businesses around here are. These are restaurants, clubs, shops, and so let's say that it's getting to be close to lunchtime, and you turn on this application and you see, oh, let's we've got it turned on, I think, to restaurant. So why don't we go to Wagamama up there? We'll click on Wagamama. Alan's finger is very cold. There you go. And then you're going to get the result there, and you can go there. So this little app, you can sort of move it around and say, oh, you know, what are the places, and it shows you how far or how close they are. Just a fun little app. And you want to see something interesting? We couldn't show it here because then you have to sort of hold the phone up like this. if you have an Android phone, or Alan can show it to you in the break, an app called Wikitude that allows you to point it with the camera out. And doing it out of this building is really cool. And it shows you different buildings and landmarks and so on right on your screen. And as you move it, it'll change the screen, so you can see what else is out there. It's kind of a neat thing, I guess, if you're new to a place and you're trying to figure out what's around you. That's hopefully where the future is heading. These smartphones that have high-end browsers that allow you to do a lot of things on those browsers. But we're also developing products for now, and we want to make sure that people can access the internet through their mobile phones now. So I'm going to show one last thing, which is I'm going to take my own BlackBerry here and unlock it. I think we've run over a little bit. And we're going to call up the Google mobile app. And the Google mobile app, I'll let Alan put this up here. This is if you don't have this app, you should go get it. Go to mobile.google.com. And it's a very tiny little app that you can download it onto your BlackBerry or onto your Nokia or whatever. And it knows your location, so that's kind of interesting. But if you don't have this app, if you ever want to do a Google search on your mobile phone, you have to call up your browser on your BlackBerry or whatever, and then you have to call up Google, and it takes all this time to go to Google, come back, and all that first step does is give you a search box. And that's not very interesting. And so what we did is we give you a very simple app that you click on it, you immediately go to the search box. You don't have to go to the browser and do all these things. Only when you enter your search do you then go to the server and get the information you want. But then you're doing work for real purposes. But let's say along the theme of, since we're almost at the break, let's look for coffee here, because we're looking for coffee house. And when we enter coffee here, it's of course it's not. Let's click on that, Alan. Are you misspelling it? Okay, let's go.
The goggles should help me out.
Yeah, goggles are helping him out. Well, it gave him a suggestion. What Google was probably also trying to work out here, and we're not going to take any more of your time to do this, is coffee near the location here. And because our suggestions, what we want to do is not only give you the Wikipedia page for coffee, but we also want to give you some local results. So it knows where you are, W1, D1, and it gives you some options there for where you might want to go get your coffee. And another feature of this app is if you hold the dial key, the green dial key, and you speak coffee, it actually will understand what you're saying and will give you that search result from speaking it. So that's basically what we wanted to speak with you about. You'll have noticed that throughout this presentation, Alan was in a browser called Google Chrome. And this isn't an ad for Google Chrome, but basically this is just to tell you that Google Chrome is not just a browser that Google thought, well, let's develop a browser. The idea that people are going to be doing more and more work on the cloud, or in the cloud, or on the cloud, whichever way you want to call it, it means that we want to have browsers that are capable of doing a lot of work in the cloud, not just looking at simple web pages. And so Google decided a couple years ago to build a browser and then to make that software open source and to give it to the world with the intent that Google's browser was going to be a great browser, and it is a great browser, and that other browsers are going to get better because the technology used in Google Chrome will be incorporated into other browsers, and that's happening already. Because the better browsers are, the more applications are going to be written to run in the cloud, the more people are going to do their work on the internet, and the more that happens, then the more we think that's better for the internet, it's better for the user, it's better for Google and for advertisers and for everybody. So with that, sorry that we ran long a little bit. I thank you for your attention and enjoy your day.